you're disciplined because you stick to the same habits that you need in order to get better. So there is no discipline without habits, because discipline comes from doing the things consistently, regardless of how you feel, regardless of the circumstances, over and over and over again. Hi, my name is Izzy Chinche. I'm a soccer coach, podcast host, entrepreneur, and today I'm going to be talking about why consistency beats intensity. And those who know me very personally, which is only a couple, most people understand that I actually am a pretty intense person compared to just your normal person. I would say I'm fairly intense. I like to be intense. I think I'll always be intense. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But I have realized the importance of just being consistent when I can't be as intense as I want to be. And I think the way that it's manifested in my life is, sometimes I was so intense, just on the grind, working towards a dream, working towards the goal, that I actually, negatively affected myself in the mental side of things. My mental health kind of tanked because I was so intense. I didn't face anything. And I was like, just go, 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 go. That's what it takes to win, which it does. I'm not going to tell you that it doesn't take that to win, but I think there's a middle ground, and there's, a way to be a little bit more moderate. And the fact that, so many people, at least people that I know that show up in my life, sometimes they talk about like, well, I'm not going to do it unless I can do it perfect, unless I can go all in, unless it's exactly the way that I want it. And that, my friend, is a great way to get nothing done. Because the fact is there such a thing as perfect timing and great, and at least good timing? Is there such a thing as good timing? I do believe that there is such a thing as good timing. But the truth is, anything that you want that's worthwhile having is not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? It's a marathon. And the thing about marathons, and I actually have never ran a marathon, but my husband ran one last month. The thing about marathons is they are hard and they suck for the most part. And there's something about that's actually, when you're able to have a certain type of view on it, it's actually very liberating. Because a marathon, when you go into a marathon, there's no part of you, or even just a hard workout, a really long run or something, there's not a part of you that's like, oh, this is going to be super easy. No one thinks that, because we know if you've gotten yourself that far, then you know that's not the case. It's not going to be easy. And so once you understand that it's not going to be easy, then you can actually adopt the mindset of, this is going to be hard, but I'm signed up for this. So I know that it's going to be hard and it's okay. And there's going to be hard times and times that are worse and better than others, just like there always is in life. So life is that way. So when good timing presents itself, or you're waiting to start the thing for the perfect timing, the good timing, which in and out of our lives, in business, workouts, whatever it is, there are seasons where it was just like perfect. The schedule was on, the economy, things were vibing. It's the way that we wanted it to go. That is like the perfect timing. That comes and goes. So if you start when it's the perfect time, when you have the perfect timing, you're actually kind of setting yourself up for a bad start, because you're not actually prepared for what you're going to face. And you're also saying that you're conditional, that you're only going to do this in the perfect circumstances, which is never long lasting. Perfect circumstances, when they're there, awesome. Enjoy it, vibe out. That's the way to go. We love it. Enjoy it, whatever. It's going to end. And then things are going to become hard. And they're going to consistently become hard, and plans are going to change, and finances are going to change, and bills are going to come up, and injuries are going to happen. And there's always going to be something that's going to happen that's going to end that perfect timing. So it goes from perfect timing to problem. It's no longer perfect timing. And if you've waited your whole life for the perfect timing, and then you get it, and then life happens, and then it's no longer perfect timing, then what are you going to do? Quit? Because it's no longer perfect timing? Because you're like, oh, well, I did it while it was perfect and it was really easy. That's just not the way life is. And so when those hard things happen, and the schedule changes, and it's hard to get to the gym, or it's hard to build a business or do the podcast, and all these things change, what you need to focus on is consistency. Because as these circumstances, as these problems come up and things become harder, sometimes our intensity lowers because we're trying to put out fires in other places of our life. So it's okay for that intensity to lower, but can you stay consistent? Can you stay consistent? Now, the thing about consistency and like the way that I look at this and the way we break it down is like, if you're consistent, it's because you built habits, and the only way that you build habits is because you have discipline. And so I don't really know if I am really disciplined, or I have a lot of habits, or I just have the discipline to stick to my habits. And I think they're actually kind of all the same thing. And because if you're disciplined because you stick to the same habits that you need in order to get better. So there is no discipline without habits, because discipline comes from doing the things consistently, regardless of how you feel, regardless of the circumstances, over and over and over again, which is basically creating a habit. So I think it's a little bit of both right there. So the important thing is to realize that consistency is going to beat anything else, because it's inevitable that life is going to happen. Things are not going to go as planned. Things will come up. And are you going to be like, well, I can't be as intense as I want to be, and it's not going to be perfect, so I'm not going to do it? Or are you going to be like, all right, I'll do what I can. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to keep the habit. I'm going to stay disciplined and get the thing done. And then when you also view it, whatever that thing is, that endeavor that you want to go on, as a marathon versus a sprint, then when that hard thing comes up, you're not surprised. You're not ready to throw in the towel, because you already knew. You already knew it was going to be hard. You already knew it was going to be difficult. You already knew those things were going to come up because you signed up for a marathon. And anything that's freaking awesome in your life, like that you work for, like a business, gym gains, relationship, all those things, it's not a sprint. It's never ever gonna be a sprint. And so if you can manage expectations and manage understanding that, this is gonna suck. For me, at least, it makes it way easier. Like my podcast, I didn't sign up for my podcast thinking like, oh, I'm gonna do this for a couple weeks, it's gonna blow up. I'm gonna do this for a month, I'm gonna do this for a year, and it's gonna blow up. I never had that expectation. So when the days have come where I'm like, I so don't want to do this, when I've had episodes that have tanked, when I've had lack of support, people not listening, whatever it is, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what I signed up for. I signed up for a marathon. But now we have so many people who are like, oh, I tried really hard for 6 months. I tried really hard for a quarter. I tried really hard for a week. I tried hard for a year. And it's like, dude, that's just not what it takes to win. That's not what it takes to win. And it's okay. And it's awesome. Like sometimes when you are really intense. And I think especially for me, I've started to realize I have like 6-week cycles. And so, about 3 to 4 weeks for me is super intense. I'm like all in. I'm wired. I don't stop getting things done. I'm like, I push through. It's like the next thing, vision, all the things, implementation, systems, all the things. And I love it. It's fun. It's awesome. That's a good time, right? It's a good time. And then about, week 4, 5, and 6, I start to tank. And instead of me being like, no, I still need to be super intense and I need to do everything that I was doing earlier on in the month or in that 6-week cycle, I go, all right, this is fine. I know that it's okay because I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to cold turkey and not do any of the things that I need to do. But at the same time, it's going to even out because I went so hard, right? I went so hard when I was feeling it and I was vibing that now if I just stay consistent, take the steps, check the boxes, do the things that I need to do, it's going to overall be increasingly better over a period of time versus going really hard and being like, oh, well, if I can't go as hard as I was going those 2 weeks, a couple weeks ago, then I'm not going to do it at all. Because it's a huge waste. It's not an effective way to be. And I think also during those times when you're like, I get hard on myself. Sometimes I'm like, man, I'm not doing as much as I was doing. I'm not performing as well as I was a couple weeks ago. That's normal. That's how it goes. Like we're not always going to be on. We're not always going to be performing beautifully and perfectly and well and smoothly. It's just about not letting that damage your ego, get down, play into that ego that's like, oh, it's not good enough. I'm not good enough. It's about being like, all right, that's fine. It's good enough. And I'm going to keep going. And I'm just not going to stop pushing that car. I'm not going to stop, threading the needle, even if it's just a little bit every single day. And that's really where champions are born. And that's really where people who stand out are made, because they know that over the time is everything. If you can stay consistent over periods of time, it compounds. And so many people are so willing to drop out early. They're literally willing to drop out early and be like, well, I gave it a good try. I did my best. It was for a year or 6 months. Like, I see this in the sports world all the time, right? Especially with recruitment. We'll be sending emails, and we'll be sending a lot of emails and DMs and making YouTube channels and videos and all the things. And we won't be getting much back. And I'm like, hey, this is part of the game. We don't drop out when we don't get anything back. That's actually when we do more. That's when we dig in. We're like, all right, who else can we talk to? We have to realize that most people, especially in the States, give up very easily, very quickly. Like, I didn't get it right away. I wasn't wildly successful in just a few months. It's like, all right, I'm out. So if you can just master and I say this to myself too, like, this is what I remind myself of all the time. If I can just remain consistent, if I can remain consistent for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I will have a completely different life than anyone else who just goes very intensely a couple days a month. But if I can be a little consistent every single day, that's where the magic happens. That's where the magic happens. And it also goes hand in hand with the concept of a lot of things that we work towards, or a lot of things in society that we look up to and we're like, oh my gosh, they're so rich, or they have all this and it's amazing. It's like, behind the scenes, the stuff that they're doing is very boring. It's like day in, day out, basic tasks, doing the things, making the phone calls, following up with your team, checking in on sheets, and literally just analyzing where are we at with everything. It's not very glamorous at all. And a lot of times it's like in your PJs, just trying to get the thing done. It's like it's not glamorous, but it's that consistency that makes all the difference. So if you're in a point in your life where you're ready and you're going to take on a new challenge, a podcast, a business, a relationship, you're going to do something, then I want you to view it hardcore as a marathon. Accept the fact that it's gonna be hard, it's gonna suck, there's gonna be ups and downs. And then when you're in it and that hard thing comes your way, you're not gonna be surprised, you're not gonna be thrown off your game, you're not gonna quit, you're not gonna throw in the towel. You're just be like, all right, this is just a hard time that I'm in right now, and my only job is to stay consistent with my task. It's not to outperform any other month or do something crazy. It's just to keep the ball rolling. Can I stay consistent even though it's not ideal, it's not perfect timing, it's not the way that I want it to go? And if you can master that, your life and everything that you want to achieve, you can. That's literally it. If you can remain consistent when things do not go as planned, you're good. Because people who are consistent often are very adaptable, right? They're adaptable. And that's not like safe zone consistent. Like, oh, I'm very consistent and playing it safe. I'm talking about people who are trying to get to the next level, who are consistent. They're like, okay, all right. We're doing this. I do it anyways, because consistency encompasses a lot of other things. Problem solving. It's all over the place. So if you can be adaptable to the change, because change is inevitable, the change will happen. Your life will change, relationships will change, financials will change, your job will change. The world is never not going to change. And so if you can accept that instead of trying to fight that, be like, oh, I need it to stay the same, I hate change, like that's not going to set you up for success. It's going to be a very hard way to live if you are constantly fighting change. But if you can be adaptable, say, ooh, that came up. That's not working the same way. That's not going the way that I thought it would or the way that I want it to. But, however, I will stay consistent and I will adapt and be consistent in the way that I adapt. Oh my gosh, that's like the perfect combo. And that's what I'm working on right now, is to have this layer of consistency with adaptability. And really it's about remaining neutral. remaining neutral? Can I remain neutral to the changes that are happening around me? Can I say, all right, yeah, that's not what I expected. All right, that's fine. I'm neutral. I'll just stay consistent. All right, I got to pivot a little bit. Can I do that over time? And most people can't. Like, I couldn't a while ago. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to freak out every time something changes and it doesn't go as planned. But the more acceptance I have of the fact that things will not go as planned, I need to be adaptable and I need to be consistent in order to win, it's actually not that complicated. It's just about doing the things. So if you're thinking about taking a leap in a direction that you want to, that's going to be something bigger and better for you, get after it. Understand that it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that consistency is everything. Consistency is always going to beat intensity. Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, I would greatly appreciate if you could share this episode with 5 people you think could benefit from the show. Also, please feel free to connect with me on Instagram at Izzy Chinche or my website at izzychinche.com. Thank you so much for being you. Keep being a leader and making this world a better place.